meditation, he allowed it to come through. And he came up with the name that most of you, how many read my blog? Yeah, a great deal of you. You know I sign off with this. I never explain what it is, but it's Ao Akua. He's not correcting me, so I guess I said it already. A-O-A-K-U-A. Ao Akua. Now, when I asked him what that meant, it was really beautiful. I actually looked it up in a couple Hawaiian books, and these are words that are being placed together to mean something. The definition that I was given that I understand means the parting of the clouds to see God. Now, this is so relevant, because what was I saying earlier about what this whole purpose is to go back to the whiteboard, to go back to zero, space being dust coming off of him right now. So did you hear him coughing? To go back to zero, and that what's getting in the way of all of this are nothing but thoughts. Even as you're sitting here, behind your thoughts, behind your feelings, behind your emotions is zero, is just the witness. So Ao Akua would be watching those thoughts go by, the parting of the thoughts, the parting of the clouds. What do you see? Divinity. Ao Akua, powerful cleaning device. Bruce wanted a reminder, powerful reminder, right there. Ao Akua, yes. Co-author on Meet and Grow Rich.
Yeah, that must have seemed pretty strange. I'm a diabetic, and my blood sugar was really low. I was about to pass out, and I thought, okay, no problem. Lisa went to get the blood testing. I put a little candy in my mouth, and Joe said, Bill, would you like to talk for a minute? And my mind is blank. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Oh,
and I'm listening to the story. I'm like, oh, that story. Sorry about that guy. So I do want to tell that. I've always been the skeptical, and I first discovered Joe from his Nightingale Conant audio program, and I could probably tell you an hour about the miracles that happened that led to us meeting and doing things together. But I remember when I ordered spiritual marketing from Amazon.com, and I got the book expecting more marketing stuff. And I start reading this book, and Joe's talking about talking to angels, and I'm like, talking to angels? No, this is not what I'm interested in right now. And I put it aside. At the time, I'd come out of the music business and was actually driving a limo around while I was writing my first book. I went from the back of the limo to the front of the limo. And 9/11 happened. And think about it, I was doing airport transport. 9/11 was my last day in the limo business. And suddenly, I didn't have a job, I didn't have a car, I had a house, and had a lot of credit card companies suddenly that were so friendly before were upset with me. And I thought, well, maybe I'll read that Joe Vitale book again and try this angels thing. And I sat down and did the exercises and did the 5 steps, and Joe said, get very specific about what you want, what kind of car you want, what kind of job you want, what kind of things. Well, I didn't, I'm a guy, I didn't follow the instructions perfectly, so I got 2 piece of crap cars in about 24 hours. And it's like, I got 2 cars, that's what I'd asked for. Then I got very specific, and I don't know how many cars it's been now, Joe, 7 or 8 I've attracted using your stuff. So Joe and I have become friends, and I don't know why I still remain skeptical at times of this stuff, but I met Dr. Len when we did the dinner in Austin, and Zero Limits since then, and Joe gave me an advance copy of the book, and I started reading it, and it's like, there's part of this that really appeals to me, part of it I'm not so sure about. But I sat down, and I'm an internet marketer, I sell e-books, and Joe and I have written books together. And I said, well, let's just see what happens. It was basically, Joe just made the comment earlier. He says, you don't have to set goals. You don't have to set tasks. Just do the stuff in front of you, and it'll come to you. So I said, okay, let's see how this works. And so I'm, thank you. Please forgive me. I love you. I'm sorry. Just doing it. I asked Joe, what order do you have to say? It doesn't really matter. I said, okay, no problem. So I did that, and I just started to notice that my sales, I have certain residual sales. People come to my websites and buy things. And if I do a mailing to my list, there'll be a big spike in sales. Well, in 3 days, my sales had jumped 42% in 3 days. A pretty significant amount. I hadn't done anything at all to my list. Just a sudden spike. It kept going up that whole week, just from doing this stuff. So, again, I'll have to keep cleaning on being a skeptic, but the stuff works. And I'm anxious to hear Dr. Lynn later tell me that the diabetes thing is all bullshit anyway. And it saved me a lot of money on insulin. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. I'm glad you're okay. Yes.
The key is not to have expectations. So when you're doing the cleaning, you're not cleaning for an outcome. You're cleaning to be free. That's the ultimate goal, is to be free. Because it is when you're free, at freedom, that's the address of the divinity. Zero is the address, because zero is the temple. It's a sacred temple that holds the divine. But when you carry trash, you are actually, it's a hatred for the divinity. That's what it actually is when you hold on to the trash. So you, being at zero, you represent the temple, the sacred temple, what Jesus called the kingdom. But if you have trash going, then it's really hatred for yourself and the divinity. I just want that to be clear so I'm not fussing around. You know? So the idea is, by just doing these things, I love you, thank you, why? Now I'm going to teach you how to do it so that you can do it without doing it. Yeah. So this is what I would suggest you do, and you should do what works for you. I'm just going to suggest how to do it. Somebody asked me, where did the Ho'oponopono come from? And they were talking about maybe from Samoa or some places like that. I want to tell you that this is what I'm teaching you has come from another galaxy. Another galaxy. You know, so it doesn't have an earthly beginning. Just thought you might be interested. Yeah. So let's look at this. So this is zero. This is the whole universe. Universe is based on zero. That's the foundation of the universe. It's interesting that there's a biography of zero. The thing I found fascinating about reading about zero is that the author starts at chapter 0. Anybody ever read a book that starts at 0? And so the chapter is listed as null and void. Chapter 1 is described as nothing doing. Chapter 2 is nothing comes of nothing. Chapter 3, nothing ventured. Chapter 4, the infinite God of nothing. Chapter 5, infinite zeros and infidel mathematicians. Number 6, listen to this, infinity's twin. That's what zero is. So he goes through all this stuff. And then he concludes, if I can find it, this is about the time of the day where I go into zero. So at the end, this is what he says. All that scientists know is the cosmos was spawned from nothing and will return to nothing from whence it came. The universe begins and ends with zero, and that's what I'm trying to sell you. Is that it begins and ends with zero. It began like this, and so I'm going to define for you what religion is. So now you get an inspiration. Inspiration, it will last for so many, whatever its purpose, and then this inspiration will turn into memory. But if you carry over like it's the law, then it becomes a religion, what we call a belief. As opposed to your willingness, no matter what it is, you've heard, you actually got an experience of the divinity talking to you, you're always erasing it. Always, always, always. You're never holding on to anything. Because the wonderful thing about being at zero is there's no right or wrong. Can I say that? There's no right or wrong at zero. So there's no discussion. Once you're at zero, there's nobody's going to carry on the discussion. If you're not at zero, a lot of bullshit will go on. So here you are at zero. And what's so wonderful is that, again, looking at this, turning the mind sideways, when you're at zero, divinity then can come through you. I am the I. I come forth from the void, zero, into light. So now that comes on, you get this inspiration, you're moving, and you keep doing something that then finally becomes a memory, you're stuck with it. So the Ho'oponopono is about constantly cleaning so that you're always coming home to zero. You're not holding on to anything. Never, never. No attachments. So you're constantly coming home to yourself, because you're what Shakespeare called the stage. You're the stage at which either inspiration will take place or garbage in memory. Yeah? So this is the law. These two will affect that. These are two laws of the universe. And these two laws run zero. So now the only question is which law you're going to choose. This law or this law. And so you don't have to be aware of anything except you're willing to clean. The law will take care. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all else will be added. So that's your job is simply here just to clean nonstop. So we've gone over this, and here's the way you want to do it. So this is you, made from zero. This is the mother part of you, and this is the child part of you. So now a new tool comes up. Did you get Hawaii as a tool before? No. So let's say you got a tool called Hawaii. So the mother says to the child, hey,